Well, hello, Gundam Maniacs. Welcome to the next Gundam Explained podcast. Glad you are here. Already seeing so many cool people in the chat. Robert Santo Bell, who is in a completely different time zone, like opposite. Ian, Goose, Jedi Sayla, Dark Samurai Neo. Let's see, Lucas Garrett, good to see you. Brian Zanichelli. Hope I didn't miss anyone. I did say Robert. Zenit Frenrir, good to see Zionic Shadow. Oh, it's good to see everyone in here. Neon Wave. But you know who is really good to see? Of course, it's Steven. Steven, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. What episode are we on again?
You know what? I remember this time. I do. It's 64, only because of Nintendo 64. I don't know why, but that's just, it's kind of like 69, and then people are like, nice. 64. If I see 64, It's like, Nintendo 60. I mean, those were some golden years.
That was the best.
But also, Stephen was really cool on your stream yesterday. We had John Lynn, who, check out the links in the description had her stream. I was on yesterday. We had a cool Gunpla customizer on. One of the first I found on Instagram when I first got into Gunpla and wanting to post pictures, just because I really, I was interested in seeing more of the abstract things people would do, and that caught my eye, like the texturing.
Despite all the technical difficulties, that was such a fun conversation, and you guys talking. I could have just listened to you guys talking about Predator lore all night.
No, that's cool. I love geeking out about Alien and Predator. There's not many people that can hang when I start talking Alien and Predator. It's like, do they really know what they're talking about?
Some people are out here like, oh man, Ridley Scott nailed it in the second one.
Well, you never came across as some like self-professed like alien fanatic, so
no.
But you recognize good cinema and directors when you see it.
I try. I do what I can. Right, we all do. But no, thank you for coming on. That was a lot of fun. That was a great conversation. So thanks for indulging me on that one.
No, that was great. Yeah, so guys, check that out if you haven't yet. It would be cool to get some guests on, I'd like to do that at some point, although I think like Steven and I really occupy enough time to begin with, so but
we do a lot of talking.
Yeah, we do. But for today's show, we're gonna talk about Witch from Mercury, since that just came out. Tons of different types of reactions have come out for that. And then we'll talk about the Zaku 4, because GBO2 just got that released as it's the new suit. And I remember seeing the Zaku 4, and I'm like, man, I still haven't done a deep dive on the Zaku 3 as far as I know. It's funny, because I'll come across mobile suits, I'll research them and be like, okay, interesting suit. But then down the line, I'll forget about that suit. It takes repetition of me getting into some source material that includes a certain suit for me to eventually wrap my head around it. Like the Barlant, because that's really a Zeta thing, but Unicorn, it really stood out. And so, but it's a variation. And
that's the best part about Unicorn is there's so many throwbacks and subtle references to Zeta and Double Zeta that, even us old fans can look back at it and say, hey, I know that mobile suit.
Yeah, I know. It's great. I'll always remember when I first tried watching it, when I first got into Gundam, and I was like, this is the dumbest thing ever. And then once I got through most of UC, everything kind of required to really get it, I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. I love that. I really do. It's kind of like, actually, in a way, how I've been feeling about Star Wars lately, because that Andor show is good. It makes me think, there's something there of Star Wars still that can exist.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of those Disney Plus Star Wars shows are very, fan service is not the right word, but there's a nostalgia aspect to them that is appreciated.
Yeah, like it. For instance, just seeing Luke mow through all those Dark Troopers or whatever, like that's something we've always dreamed about, and we kind of got to see it with it, and it came across better than I think it could have. That could have went bad. Let's move on here for a second. I wanted to talk about the Patreon just in case, because we have this Actually, I can share that screen. I have a little screen of it here. Yeah. So there's the G Watch podcast. It's going to be a new monthly podcast available for supporters, and so it could be either Patreon or YouTube. Is actually the supporter tiers are exactly the same. So it's just more of if you'd rather do YouTube or Patreon, it's all the same stuff. You get Discord access. Yeah, you get this podcast. It's pretty cool where supporters. It was the mods from this last episode, but supporters can either be on and help out, and we'll just talk about a Gundam series or a show or a movie, and we kind of vote on what it is every month. So,
man, I loved that first episode that you guys put out. It was
cool.
Spectacular.
Well, good. Yeah, because you know
not
what?
a dull moment. So I
I
highly recommend you guys check that out because it's nice to hear some other voices interacting with Adam, besides me, because you know what you're gonna get with me. I think that Ian and Sayla and Goose, they bring a lot to the table in terms of conversational prowess and a lot more nuanced takes than I do. So.
Yeah, you know what? It is great. Like, especially with this group of people, they've been very helpful to me on this journey with this YouTube channel. And they helped come up with the ideas and the concepts and then working on it. It was just like talking with friends. It was great, especially being the first episode we recorded. But yeah, so what we'll end up doing is like every month kind of, I'm still figuring out how exactly either vote or as a group we decide what will be this month's podcast, and then we'll pick a show to watch, and then I think I'm still figuring out the details, but even maybe some sort of like entry form for supporters to fill out so that they can possibly be on the episode. So, yeah. Okay, let's see. What else is going on? Oh, hearing echo in voice. I personally am not hearing anything, but we'll see as that goes.
Hopefully I fixed it. We'll see.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, no problem there though. I mean, it's better than not hearing anything or not seeing anything. That's usually ends up being the specialty.
Yeah, last night was a lot worse when our call just dropped and you and Jonlin were going on and on. And I'm sitting there trying to fill the dead air
No, well, let me ask you, were we not on at that time?
So that's the funniest part, is that I was still streaming.
Oh.
You guys were talking on the call without me.
Oh.
So it was...
Wow. Oh, that was cool, though. But I even think, even with that little technical issue, first time doing it like that, it went pretty well.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so up next, let me screen share again just real quick. So since last time, there's actually a preview for those that aren't supporters. I want to check out that G-Watch podcast. There's a preview of first 30 minutes of the first episode. Then there's the reaction to Witch from Mercury. So we're going to talk about Witch from Mercury in a second. And then the real grade God Gundam video that has a fun build. I recommend that for anybody. Yeah, that wants to, even if you haven't built a real grade before, it's pretty fun. It's not too challenging. I think they really did a good job of streamlining the process to build it and make it a cool action figure. Okay, let's see. The next thing, I wanted to hear from people to see. Okay, I asked, did you enjoy Witch from Mercury episode 1? Why or why not? And 95% said yes. That was out of 165 votes, so I think that's pretty cool. How many people enjoyed it?
That's a good sample size. Yeah. If it were like 10 votes, you'd be kind of like, oh.
Yeah. But Robert is saying, heck yeah, especially that double cheek clapping SM gave Daddy's Boy. It's like there's one thing that's in my head, and I did not make that connection. Even says, although I didn't see that first due to not having seen the other series. Oh, first episode has series. So Utena. So thank you for putting that there, Robert. So that's my first. I've never heard of Utena, other than
neither have I.
Other than I just, for some reason, I keep thinking about looking in magazines. Like I'd look at the imports inside magazines or something and seeing all these things I've never heard of that are from Japan. Maybe seeing that there. But I'm hearing that a lot, that it's a similar story, which I think is pretty cool and kind of I guess par for the course when it comes to um sci-fi, anime, movies, TV shows. A lot of things really borrow elements, kind of like that Joseph Campbell thing with the hero's journey. Um,
Well, and it's interesting because in anime you have, almost these types of genres that technically they exist as tropes in Western media, but we don't have a word for like isekai,
oh
right?
yeah,
Like we don't have a word to describe this is that type of anime. And so it's interesting when you hear like, oh, this anime is exactly like this other one. You're almost expecting there to be a new term to come out to define the
like
young
video
girl
games.
at Mobile Suit School anime.
Yeah, just like video games in their genres, music in their genres. Yeah, that makes sense too with with the anime stuff. So, in that case, that actually makes it a little more exciting because they're using kind of a tried formula that had good
Yeah.
results and they're kind of using that with Gundam. So, that's pretty cool. Um, let's see. What was I saw? I think someone in the chat was it Brian Zanichelli saying you're watching. I enjoyed watching episode 1 of which. Okay, good. So someone else enjoyed it. But I mean, it's okay to
Zionic
not
Shadow
enjoy it.
said that that episode got him really
Okay.
excited. And yeah, I agree with Zionic Shadow. I want to get both you and Eddie over on the stream at some point. So
Oh,
let me know about that.
yeah.
That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I do love the
actually,
Gunpla Bastards. So
yeah. And in fact, we were just talking about that. I was maybe a month ago or something. I joined his Twitch stream. We about that. Yeah, we should do something like that. That'd be a good idea. Um. Okay. So Barry, for you. Oh man, I butchered that last name. Out of all last names, it looks simple at first, but then it has these vowels in order that I. But anyway, yes, more Gundam. I think that's a good answer. Wind Watcher. It's my first Gundam, and I was very impressed. Oh, very cool. I like hearing it's people's first Gundam. I think that's pretty cool.
and that's always what I'm excited about. Like
Yeah.
I know that you kind of came back into the Gundam fandom shortly after IBO launched
Yeah.
and like that first airing. And there was just such an air of excitement about the new fans that were coming into the Gundam, community, if you will, because of IBO. And so I hope that we have the same sort of enthusiasm and new fans coming in as a result of Witch from Mercury. And it looks like that's the case.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's good just to further reinforce, the distribution of Gunpla so we can get more. And actually, something I'm going to get to later, but Target's going to start carrying some more Gundam merchandise, but I'll get to that here shortly. Actually, I do have that link up, do I? Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, so Dark Samurai Neo, yes. Marcus Todd, is there a dub available? I tend to wait for dubs. You know what? There's not, and I'm someone that recently was waiting for dubs for non-Gundam stuff, and I realized, yeah, with Gundam, it's like I'm gonna watch it even if there's no dub. I just like I have to take it in. But with, for instance, Legend of Galactic Heroes, when season 3 came out, I think that's what it's called, right? Legend of or something. It's a crazy name, epic name, yeah. The when it first came out, it was just the subtitled version of season 3, so I didn't bother watching it. But now they have it dubbed, and then apparently now there's season 4 already out, but it's like the first episode or two, and it's subbed. So it's very interesting. It's like something's out, and I could watch it subbed, which will leave a different impression than if you watch something dubbed for the first time. It's
100%.
And so sometimes I think about that. And so, but when it comes to Gundam, it's like, well, I usually watch the Gundam series multiple times, and I'm usually watching them dubbed and subbed, so it's no big deal. But other anime, I wonder if I watch something dubbed, what if I like it or dislike it more than I watch it subbed? I don't know.
Well, and it's funny how that works out, like not even just in anime, but in live action as well. I recently saw someone did a little meme compilation of the Japanese dub of The Boys, that superhero show on Amazon Prime. And it is so fantastic. I recommend that anyone go watch the Japanese dubbed version of The Boys. Even if you don't understand a word they're saying, the voice acting is so expressive and so fantastic. I love it.
Man, yeah, with that type of content in that show, yeah, that's got to be a good one. Because it's almost like a live action anime.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, in a lot of ways, for sure.
yeah. Um, let's see, and then Olivier Milan Rousseau. Sorry. Where can we watch? So like officially, like in the Americas, it's like Crunchyroll, or North America, it's Crunchyroll, and then I guess in other territories you can on YouTube. Um, but I think it's supposed to be on Gundam Info, but it's supposed to be Asian territories. I bet if you search around, you'll find something.
Oh yeah,
Um,
guaranteed.
yeah, and then GZ Sprout also, where's it to watch? Okay, so hopefully I answered your question. Um, yeah, so real quick though, I wanted to talk a little bit about Witch from Mercury. First of all, the part that I don't want to spend a lot of time on is like the internet backlash stuff, because I don't have time for that. But to be honest, I was not seeing people complain about the show online. I was seeing people complain about people complaining about the show.
Isn't it funny how that works? Is like there's almost like a
Yeah,
manufactured backlash.
yeah, and then there's some credence to that when it comes to like Disney properties. And I don't know how much this stuff is true. I don't like accusing bad things when it might not be true, but Disney is purposely, or some bigger production houses are in their marketing, they're purposely pushing the um flack they get for trying to be, and it's almost like, why are they talking on it? Because it's almost legitimizing, when people
Yeah,
make those dumb complaints, and it's like, um it's almost like giving an excuse for someone not to like something. um I don't know. I will say though, the truth is, I I have not been seeing negative stuff about this new Gundam show, which is really cool. I feel bad for maybe people that have been. Maybe they have some people on their timelines that talk a lot of
yeah.
crap, but it's been all positive.
Look, I'll
For me.
be the first to admit, like at first, like you, I didn't notice a whole lot of negative stuff out there, but there is a mutual that I have that I'm not gonna throw names out there, but they posted some like really kind of nasty, kind of trolly memes about Witch from Mercury and kind of disparaging about it, and again, like you said, it's like, man, if it's not for you, then it's not for you. That's fine. Like, you just don't die on this hill. Like, this is not the fight.
Yeah, and that's good. I guess the really the takeaway here is, if you just happen to be someone that you're running into someone being very toxic about something, I think it's important that we kind of be responsible and be like, hey, that's kind of toxic. I don't know.
Yeah.
Have the conversation with someone, because I think sometimes people don't mean to get that way. It's just every day doing the grind, social media. People tend to build that kind of persona, and they don't mean to. So,
I mean, I tried to squash a bit of that beef this morning on Twitter, and of course, like I shouldn't be on Twitter, but I was up feeding the infant, and
oh,
I'm
okay,
like,
yeah.
if I've got a bottle in her mouth, I'm on my phone scrolling Twitter. So, I see some of the like nasty back and forth going on, and I was like, ultimately, you guys don't care about the content of the show. You're just looking for an excuse to tell other people that they're not allowed to enjoy it. And that's all that at the end of the day, that's what it is. Because, and this is both sides of the sort of argument, so to speak, is some people are accusing the other side of one thing, the other side is accusing the other side, and they're just trying to say, Gundam is for us, not for you. And it's like, no, Gundam was never for you. It was always for us. And so, it's like Gundam's for everybody.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
that's
imagine having this kind of conversation about like Coca-Cola. Like, yeah, the creators of Coke never respected your kind. Like, I don't agree with you, so you shouldn't be allowed to drink Coke. Like, get out of here. It's a
yeah,
product for us to consume. It's a
yeah.
toy commercial.
Yeah, and I remember, I forget where I heard it, but I remember, because I love video games, and someone was talking about, Call of Duty is now bringing in a new crowd of gamers in that we don't want, And then I remember someone just said it and it clicked right away. They're like, what are your thoughts on that? And it's like, well, if that means more people are getting into gaming, better, someone might get into Call of Duty and then realize there's Dark Souls and be like, what? And and I will say, though, there is this gatekeeping. I think it comes from some place that can be valid. And I will say that in my experience, when it comes to the video game market, when mobile gaming started becoming a thing at the same time as monetization, that really has changed gaming for the worse. It's because they realize that they can throw out a wide net, get a huge group of people that are not gamers, but to get money from them. So then all these video game companies, developers, like, well, we either have to make games like that or, so they stop making, games. And I think that we've seen in recent times that if a developer does take their time and a publisher gives them time, a game like Elden Ring, Dark Souls can still succeed. So I think it's like, it's only like a wave. I think sometimes it might seem like, something's changing, but I bet like if I was in a Gundam and then I saw what they were doing with G Gundam, I'd be like, what the heck? What is this? They're ruining, they're taking it away.
Well, and that's where, like I'm very protective of the things that I enjoy, right? Witch from Mercury is not a threat to Zeta Gundam, even if Witch from Mercury was terrible and I hated it, and I don't. I love Witch from Mercury so far. I'm excited to see where they go with it, but it doesn't take away the things that I already enjoy. Like I can still go back and watch 0079. I can watch War in the Pocket and not even be affected by current Gundam, right? Like
no, that's what's cool about it. Yeah,
but I definitely like you said, I understand being protective about the things that you care about.
Yeah, it's like this weird almost survival instinct, but then you have to really assess what the outrage is,
Right.
But no, really getting into Witch from Mercury, one thing it is amazing, and it might be like this nowadays. I don't watch too much anime, but I love it when you watch an anime that just looks great. So for one, Witch from Mercury just looks good. Well, Steven, let me ask you, do you watch many current anime?
No, I'm definitely like a retro anime kind of guy, and I'm probably going to completely butcher anybody's expectations by saying this, but like to me, the character design in Witch from Mercury has like a very Ghibli studio style look to it, because it's a very soft and round character design. Like the characters don't have sharp angular features. They're very like, they almost look like marzipan, which is a very interesting thing for a Gundam series to have, because the last time we saw that was like Turn A Gundam, was like that very soft featured characters.
I like to compare it to like Disney style.
Yeah, exactly. It's got that Disney Pixar feel to it, which is a very interesting juxtaposition next to giant robots.
Yeah. And especially the story it's telling.
Yeah.
So what was really cool, so first of all, the prologue was awesome on its own, if you think about it, because it's like this lore dump sort of like background thing to set you up. But then when you get to the show, this first episode, it already had some badass mobile suit stuff going on. So first of all, we got okay, these are some names. It's gonna take me some time to remember. Grulik, I don't know. I really just made that up, but his name is something like that, right? No, there's Gruel Jarek, I think is his name.
I want to say it's Guel Jatark.
Oh, okay.
Jatark.
Eventually, it'll take me about 5 episodes in, and then I'll memorize one of them. I like how he's a jerk, and I love that pompous like mobile suit he has. In a way, it mimics like his hair in a way, the way he I don't know, it's a good representation of the dude in his mobile suit.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned
this. The meme that he looks exactly like that the jerk from Stranger Things, the older brother Billy.
Yeah. But I think this is something you mentioned too, but that mobile suit actually looks pretty sick. Like sometimes when I'm seeing new mobile suit designs, sometimes it'll be like right away, yes, that looks good. And then sometimes it will be, I don't know. This one was one of those where that's interesting, but the more I saw it, the more I was like, wow, yeah, this is good. So
the Delanza has a look to it that's very similar to the what is that mobile suit from Unicorn? that I'm thinking of. The very chunky mobile suit.
Okay, let's
The
think
name
about
was on the
this.
tip of my tongue,
It's
but as soon as I
not
wanted to say it, it
Kshatriya.
was gone.
You're not thinking Kshatriya, are you?
No, not the Kshatriya. It is a Federation suit.
Okay, let's think about this. I like this challenge. Because I even did a video of all. Well, no, that was the Torrington one specifically. Okay, so a chunky unicorn suit that was Federation.
What am I thinking of? I know the chat's gonna have it already like queued up.
Gustav Karl.
Gustav Karl. Yep,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the one. The
Thunderstorm
Delanza has a very
Rex.
Gustav Karl look to it. Now
Yeah.
I will say this.
Right.
Zeonic Shadow said that he pre-ordered all of the high grade kits. The high grade Delanza does not look as chunky as the anime Delanza, and it's very disappointing to me.
Looks
It looks very like sleek, and you know.
Sounds like that's a custom.
Yep.
You know, it looks like
Just
you're gonna
add on
have
a whole
to.
bunch of plastic, just fatten it up.
Looks like you're gonna have to do a live stream on making a anime accurate anime Delanza or whatever it's called.
But yeah, now I'm curious, like, what was your take on the Demi Trainer mobile suits when they showed those?
So it's cool because it almost looks like it's not like an over-designed thing. It's almost like a grounded, almost practical looking thing. But I love that it also, it may be throwback for the fans, but almost like that, the Xeon looking thing, you know, with the more of the domed head. But I love the fact that we see like a whole bunch of them. So I just love the idea
kind of
of already
walking around
seeing
doing their thing.
Not only are we seeing different types of suits walking around, but then like the mass production part of it. I love that whole aspect.
Yeah, that was awesome. And to me, those the Demi Trainers look the most Gundam-y to me.
Yeah,
you know,
I think so. If you think of Legacy of Gundam and everything, because the proportions. But what was interesting? So this GM trainer, we're seeing them at the school, correct? And so I guess if someone's family, I guess, wasn't rich enough for them to have their own mobile suit, they would probably just use a GM trainer. This is just speculation. I don't know if all that. And someone said it. Is it Wolf Saints? Thank you in the chat was saying that there's a short novel that covers the time between the prologue and episode 1. I remember hearing about that, but I haven't looked into it. Is it in English? Do we know?
I think it's been translated because a lot of folks over on my Discord were talking about that visual novel and saying that, you know, it kind of helps fill in some of the gaps because that would, you know, as far as complaints about the show go, I think that most people were just saying like, man, I wish that they would do kind of like a lore dump because I feel like I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and, especially after setting up.
I love that they didn't do that.
Yeah, you know, that's what's so interesting about this because that prologue was the lore dump. It was the Wikipedia. It was the Rogue One. And then the first episode was like the Star Wars where you're just, I sometimes hate that I'm making all these Star Wars references, but or comparisons where it's like you're thrown into this world. It's like, I didn't understand. They're at the school. They have monsters and then just freely fight in the middle of the school. Wait, they're battling for marriage? What is, you know, but yeah, we're going to learn more about it as it goes. I like Zeonic Shadow saying, stop saying GM. I will always say GM. No, that's a good one, though. I love that. Let's see. Was there anything? I was trying to see if anyone. I love what's going on in the chat, actually. It's like I'm just reading this and like, okay, there's the show, but.
You know, that's the other thing about Witch from Mercury that's been fantastic is that it's got people talking, and that's
that's good because it's cool in the first place that this is a simulcast. So for future Gundam, will they think, okay, let's do simulcast dubs for each market? And I would think English and Japanese. I mean, I'm assuming English is no, I think that would be wrong. What first language? I'm like talking without making a point. The first most spoken language of enjoyers of Gundam is probably Japanese. Would the second be English?
I would say definitely the second one. So, well, even if you were to argue that the second most the second population that is most, now I'm getting lost in preposition.
Sorry.
Outside of Japan, the most popular countries the countries where Gundam is most popular. even if it's not English speaking, I think that you'll find that you're going to cover the most ground by dubbing to English, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because generally speaking, like, a lot of Singapore translations come out in English, not what's the native language in Singapore.
Yeah, and just in general, I think people in other countries are you're more likely to run into someone that's multilingual and knows English.
Right. That's the point that I'm trying to make, is that you're going to cover the most ground going with English because it's the most marketable language out there.
Yeah. And Kaz WM is saying a lot of setup and lore for Mercury and Ariel specifically is in the short 8-page novel that came out recently. 8 pages? Well, sign me up, because even light novel, I was like, oh, but I could do 8 pages. So let's see. I like that Brian is saying that. I just lost it. I think he was saying something about the. How did I lose that? I think my eyesight's going out. Did somehow his chats just go away? But I thought Brian Zanichelli was saying something about it looking like the RX-78-2, which is kind of like that class, or the area, which is kind of like that classic thing that they do in these Gundam shows where they make a Gundam look like the classic. But what's interesting is because, like in Double O, the Exia, it was the main Gundam and didn't look like it, even though they had that O Gundam that looked like the classic Gundam. The Exia, and I don't even care too much about the Exia look, but like, it's funny because even in Wing, there wasn't really anything that looked like a Gundam, right? Because anything that had the RX-78-2, like it had maybe the head and the V-fin, but nothing that was like color schemed, right?
Yeah, I mean, the Wing was kind of close because it had the blue chest, some red accents to it, but the Gundam Wing had like the green definitive
thing,
chest lights, whatever you want to call those.
Oh, and then technically the Ariel does too. It's just a different technology, even though it's kind of that same sort of thing. Okay, so something I didn't remember seeing in this episode, but were they showing anything that had to do with cybernetics? I don't remember them showcasing anything to any specific character yet.
Well, I mean, technically, the Gundam Ariel itself is.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if, because in that some of the clips from the prologue, or there are clips in general where they show people that are like part cybernetic and all that. I'm wondering how much that's going to be a play in this, because I'm about to finish that Cyberpunk anime, which is great. And you know what? It's funny about things being similar, because watching Cyberpunk anime, I haven't finished it yet, but so far it's like the same story as Ghost in the Shell. But I've only seen the movie of Ghost in the Shell. But the idea that there's some cybernetic stuff going on, you pretty much take someone, make them a weapon, you own them, and there's this kind of like love between two people that are caught up in it.
Well, and there's always going to be civilian applications and military applications to all types of technology, and so that's the kind of vibe that I get from Mercury, where you have the, we make prosthetics for people that they can control with their minds, and but then obviously there's going to be a military application for that makes them a lot more money. You use one to pay for the other. I remember stumbling across that video ages ago of a woman that was using like this advanced headset to control a third arm and was like feeding herself an apple using the third arm. And I was just like, do you guys want cyber new types? Because that's how you do it right there. That's
before you know it. It'd be crazy if like some company starts coming out with a new thing called cyber new type or something. You know how that happens sometimes, like Skynet. I think a real company came out with something called Skynet.
That has to be a joke, right? Like that's.
No, yeah. I'm curious. Like, for instance, in even Double O, because I was just watching Seed. There's coordinators, but in Double O, there's innovators, and then there's the people that were trying to be trained as an innovator or whatever. Lots of names to remember. So it's like I'm wondering what this aspect is going to be. Is it going to be where it just happens to be if you have a Gundam or Gundam that's going to come into place, or are we going to start meeting more characters that have different cybernetic enhancements that then, because I'm wondering if, because yeah, if you think about the other Gundams, when there's some sort of ability or something to a character, that's usually part of their plot and storyline. So
Yeah.
um unless
What's
for this one
the
it's just,
foil to that, right?
yeah, yeah, unless for this one their powers that they're lesbians, because isn't that the no, which is pretty
That's
cool.
the
You know,
gist.
it's funny. That's another thing that I did not pick up on. Uh, I guess that these characters are potentially love interests. I don't know if that was confirmed somewhere, or it's just I know when I got on Twitter afterwards, you know, people are saying, "Oh, first lesbian couple," but I was like, "Oh, Soletta was very interested in her. Yeah, she went to her little place, wanted to talk to her more, and I
Yeah,
thought it
but I
was just
mean,
she felt
Coletta
bad.
as a
Yeah,
character, like her characterization doesn't lend itself to being romantically aggressive because she's such a reserved and she's
yeah,
like socially terrified. Obviously, in these situations where she confronted Ghoul for the first time, she's like, "Hey, you shouldn't do that."
yeah, exactly. That's a good call out. I was thinking about that earlier because if you think about like Amuro, he was the main pilot guy, and he was, whiny. He wanted to do the right thing, but he was also kind of like whiny, and he got over that. So with Soletta, like her character arc, it's that more reserved nature. She like usually she maybe just hides behind her Gundam when she wants to get something done. And so maybe part of her character arc in this, and because she was off at Mercury with her family, so she hasn't really integrated. So
Yeah,
that's probably what
she's
her
like a
arc
homeschool
is.
kid that's
Yeah.
like that's going to public school for the first time and is just terrified.
Yeah, so that is actually kind of cool to think about with where the character is going to go. Is we're probably going to see her starting to be more confident. I can't wait to see what happens now that she's I guess the leader, or not the leader, since she's the winner, the champion. I guess she's the top mobiles. Now I wonder if that means there'll be a battle every episode.
I mean, it gives me like big Ender's Game vibes where like, she shows up and she kicks the crap out of the kid that's the big
Yeah.
man on campus. And so now she's got this big target on her back like Ender Wiggin.
Did you read the Ender's Game novel, or
Oh
did you just
yeah.
see the movie? Oh, yeah, I
Big
never.
fan of the Ender's Game book.
Oh,
The movie was terrible. Don't watch the
oh,
movie.
okay. I've
Harrison
always heard of
Ford
that.
can't even save that one.
And that's funny, yeah, because Harrison Ford in Star Wars. Because I remember back when when I first got into Star Wars, I would look up other things, and I think when did the Ender's Game book come out?
Oh, the
Is
book
that?
was like 83, 84. It
Oh,
was a
wow.
long time ago.
Yeah, because I remember coming across people saying, "Hey, Ender's Game, check that out," and I was like, "I don't know, I don't read." Um, um oh, Wolf saying the short novel explains her characteristics and why she's like that. So
Yeah.
even more reason. I can't wait. I'm gonna read a book. It's 8 pages, but proud
I
of myself.
mean, I smell a Monday video. I'm just saying.
Oh, hey. If not episode 2 reaction.
There you go.
Yeah. Zionic Frenwer, the gun system reminded me of Iron Mask. Oh, and the Rafflesia with all the glowing tubes popping out of his head so he can control the wired beam guns. A total of 125 plus the mobile armor itself. I mean, yeah, that mobile armor in F91 is pretty sick. So yeah, what other kind of mobile armor will we see in which Mercury possibly? That's even making me think. Someone in chat said this earlier. That's the thing with the chat. Sometimes I just see something and then I'll remember. But they were saying something about what's going to be like the next evolution of the aerial. Because, like, I know in March they're coming out with a Gunpla option part that gives it like this thruster pack, like a space type, if you will. Even though I think the Lefrith was in space without any binders, but I wonder if that is supposed to be just the upgrade it gets, or we're going to see another Gundam come into play. I wonder if we'll get hints of what the next one could look like. I mean, if you think about in all shows, I even think like Double O was very like, I don't even remember they got new mobile suits. Zeta is a like classic example of like badass Mark II and then Zeta. Victory, he had the victory and then got the V2 halfway through. So yeah, with Ariel. And I've heard IBO, the Barbados, has a bunch of different variations. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, on the one hand, it's cool for selling toys, having all these different variations, but or model kits, I'm sorry. I don't want to but there's something to be said about the iconic design of the Gundam, and even, the discussion about, is it Victory or F? Well, no, it was Victory that they rearranged episodes because they wanted the Gundam to be in the first episode.
Which it wasn't a bad idea. It's like they made a first episode with his friend Shakti, I think is her name, like narrating.
Yeah.
Just some action scenes.
And so, there's something to be said about having like that iconic, heroic mecha that is the one that carries you through the entire series. Now, obviously in Zeta, you kind of have to wait 20 some odd episodes before you get the Zeta itself.
I know.
But I'm hoping that this is like the kind of final incarnation of the Ariel, because if they start doing that same thing that they did with the Barbados, to me it kills the iconic nature of that mobile suit. Like, to me, Barbados Form 4 is the Barbados. And I know a lot of people are like, no, Lupus Rex, and I'm like,
well,
I mean,
I think you make a good point. Because I was thinking about this when I was watching Seed last night, and I forget what the main Seed that Kira, the unit he's in, is called. Freedom. Okay, because it has like different parts it puts on when it goes out, so it's hard to like think of an iconic Freedom. I mean, so far it seems like it's like, well, it's either the long range parts or the other. I forget, that you put on it. Because when I was watching an episode last night, he was going out, I couldn't recognize at first, and I was like, oh, because it has these option parts on it. Another thing about Seed, real quick, is they don't have any color, and when they turn on, they get color.
Yeah.
No, I've never heard anyone talk about this until I watched it.
Yeah, that's kind of an odd choice.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's kind of cool. It's like that seemed like a very popular thing to do in anime at the time. That like there's that sort of animation style where it transitions from the black and white to color.
Okay. Oh, and actually, corrections. It's the strike.
Yeah, it is the strike.
But I don't
strike,
even know.
Strike, freedom, infinite justice, justice. I don't know.
And then there's impulse strike.
Yep, there's strike impulse.
And there's strike impulse. And then there's
like perfect strike.
Perfect strike. And then there's freedom strike. And then impulse strike freedom. I don't know. I really just made those last few up. But probably not. Oh, they're saying that's called phase shift armor. Thank you, Gundam Wingo. Good to see you. And Ian and Adrian. Thank you all. Okay. Oh, there's striker packs is what it's called. So to my mind, it's almost going back to what you were saying in a way. It's almost like doing it that way is more for the toy than it is for the story.
Right.
So I agree with you then. Yeah, I would rather Ariel not get an upgrade unless they do a very like cool one that makes sense to the story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So so any final thoughts on the show? Just what I'll say real quick is, I like cool sci-fi. Most of the time, I don't find many cool sci-fi shows. And to me, this is just a cool sci-fi show. It just also does a good job of being Gundam because how it's pitting people against each other. We have the corporation stuff and the mobile suit battling just in the first episode alone. It's awesome.
Yeah. I love getting some mobile suit fights in episode 1.
Yeah.
My controversial take, and this one's the one that's going to get me canceled, is of course, I cannot stand this. It infuriates me to no end, and I want it out of the Gundam fandom. I want it out of the Gundam community. Stop naming things Gund and Gundarm and
well, look.
No,
you need to get ahead of this, and you need to apologize to all the gun people out there. No, but I see what you mean.
It drove me nuts in Seed, where you have the GUNDAM system, like
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Don't do that. Don't do the naming conventions with the.
I remember when that Gundam first popped up in the prologue, and I was like, "Oh yeah," and I just
I thought it was a
kind of
bad translation.
yeah, good point. Good point. Because it was a bunch of translations at first, but it's one of those things where it's like, okay, you know. Um, and did I say this like that's fair? But then it wouldn't be Gundam. True.
No, it'd be Gundam.
Yeah, they might as well just call it Gundam. You know.
Oh man.
Okay, so well, cool. Yeah, I'm glad that show's cool. I can't wait to keep talking about it. But I want to move on real quick. Um, for those playing GBO2, which I have not been, but I feel an itch and that I'm going to come back into it, especially if they're going to do like the holiday or the Halloween stuff where they like, I have my pumpkin mask from a couple
The
of years ago.
holidays are always fun in GBO.
Yeah, so I might jump back in. But Zaku 4, I was like, wow, a Zaku 4, huh? I can't say that I have ran into a Zaku 4 in lore. So
Now, did you play the demo mission in GBO2 with the Zaku 4 in it?
Oh no, I didn't. Because I guess they have them available.
It's been out for a while. You know how they do those like
the
simulator missions where you can go in and kind of like sample a mobile suit. I think it was called like the Great Axe Princess or something like that. But oh man, that Zaku 4 is awesome to pilot.
Well, that makes sense that you said that because when I looked up this Zaku 4, I realized there's very little information on it at all. But then I saw that there is this princess unit. So that must be Ilya Pizomius, and that looks sick. That that looks like a Zaku and a Cuble put together. Wow, I have never looked at this before. Wow, look at that rear. Dang. First seen in 90. Neo Zeon, newborn Neo Zeon. Interesting. I love that axe. The axe is like the size of it itself.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So who is this Ilya? Oh, I was about to say, looks like a Double Zeta character. Wait, so this is someone, she's a Neo Zeon officer. Why do I not recognize her? I mean, she looks like a character that would be in Double Zeta.
Yep, that is 80s-tastic right there.
Yeah.
Double Zeta's like peak 80s, like gem style character design.
It's like when everyone else was already at peak 80s and getting out of it, they just went full on, like beyond peak.
They doubled down.
Yeah, doubled down. Yep, on the Double Zeta. Yeah, no, it has to be. Anyway, you know what? It's funny. I'm going to have to watch Double Zeta again. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank. But I guess she was hanging out with Mashmir.
So Zeonic Shadow mentions that it's from Moon Gundam. It's you know, so it's not in Double Zeta, so to speak.
But the character is. The suit. Yeah. So that's what's interesting. So Mobile Suit Moon Gundam, and just looking at it, it looks like one of those. Is it Katoki that does the moon designs, or is that someone else?
It wouldn't surprise me if it was Katoki, because they kind of have that that distinctive like flair to them. It's like they're almost Kunio Ukuwara designs, but they have like a few extra panel lines on them.
Yeah, well, I know what you mean, where it's like, depending on the detail. But actually looking it up, it's someone named... Wait, did you say this name? Gyopu Ipe?
No.
Okay. Sorry. That's my Americanism leaking out. But, Reconquista in G. So this is someone that's done some recent work that I haven't even seen. Iron-Blooded Orphans. Cool, I like that. I like that there's a handful of consistent designers. That way they can keep in mind the design evolution. They can't get that
until
wrong.
They bring in Sid Mead to just like completely throw crap at the wall.
But yeah, even looking at the artwork in the picture gallery for this artist, those designs look really cool. Yeah, and it looks like a lot of stuff that you see in other Gundam. So yeah, that is very cool. But with the Zaku 4, the main thing is it's just cool that there's a Zaku 4. I mean, everyone loves a Zaku 2, but then there's like, the 3, which we don't even get to see too much. But the 4, not at all, unless it's, a comic or something. But that looks sick. I wonder if there's even a Gunpla.
Not to my knowledge. I do have a Zaku 3 Gunpla.
Yes. That's what I need to get, a Zaku 3.
Yeah. And there are two versions. You have like the the sleeves version, and then you've got the 0088 version. But yeah, the Zaku 3 kind of gets a bad rap for being the first mobile suit that Mashimar Cello uses, and being kind of a joke character. His mobile suit is kind of a joke mobile suit, right?
Oh, yeah, I guess they kind of didn't give it. Yeah. Yeah, because I'm trying to think. What was the one that was in that has the Tristan?
Twilight Axis.
Yeah, Twilight Axis. Was that a Zaku 3 the guy had? I even just did that video. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was a Zaku 3 custom.
Cool. All right. Speaking of, we're getting near the end, but speaking of Gunpla, I was just looking at what, let's see, this is, the pre-orders. By the way, were you able to pre-order the Zeta Verka? I forgot. Or is that available yet?
I did pre-order the Zeta Verka. I didn't want to, but I caved in, so.
Where'd you get it from? Is it just P Bandai? Is that the only place, or?
No, I actually was only able to find it on USA Gundam Store. So.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, for those of you listening, USA Gundam Store has like a price match guarantee that they're running too. So it's like $85 to pre-order it, and if the price drops before then, they'll refund you the amount that it goes down. So
that actually, I'd pay $80 for that. I might do that.
Yeah, it's not bad for a master grade Verka. So
you know what? I've gotten to the point where I'll pay up to $100 for a master grade. I mean, I guess just in terms of, I went from when I first got into it, I would see them all the time, buy them between 60 and 70, and then now I never come across them. And so if I did for 80, I would buy it. I wouldn't mind.
I mean, one of my biggest regrets that I'm going to go to my grave with as a Gundam fan was being at New York City Comic Con, and I had some cash in my pocket, and I was over at a Gunpla booth, and there was the master grade Psycho Zaku, and I think it was like $90 or something like that. And the guy said, "Look, man, do you have cash in your pocket? How much?" And I was like, "I don't know, like 50, 60. And he was like, "Give me whatever's in your wallet and you can have this kit." And I was like, "No, I'm good." I was like, I could have had it. And
but it's kind of hard sometimes, because if there's an item you're looking out for, sometimes you'll get an idea of what you should pay, but you might not know. In a year, it's a completely different thing. I've noticed now robot spirits that I was trying to grab like a year ago are now either pre-owned in great condition, or I can get them discounted on Amazon. It's kind of weird lately. I've seen robot spirits, and what's weird is a lot of the robot spirits that have been discounted and moved on, they're now re-releasing. Like I was looking at Hobby Link Japan, and they have the GP01 FB robot spirit coming back in stock again. The High Mobility Zaku 2, the TriStars. I remember I bought one because it was on clearance, and now they have new ones in stock, and they're not that expensive.
Yeah, it's not too bad. But no, I mean, my advice to you guys is, go to your anime conventions, go to your comic book conventions. Not only are you going to have a good time, but like, especially on Sunday, vendors don't want to have to carry all that stuff back with them on the plane or on the bus back to their hometowns or whatever. So they're giving stuff away.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I have to look out around here in Dallas for those conventions now that I'm into, the anime side, because there'll probably be more Gundam than
I want to say, isn't I might be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that is Matsuri in your area, or am I thinking of a different one?
What is it called?
Matsuri.
Never heard of it. What is that? Is that a store or?
Anime Matsuri is a annual anime convention. But again, there's tons in the DFW area that I know are.
I bet I just, haven't seen. Yeah, this anime Matsuri thing, huh? Interesting. Okay. But anyway, you know what? That is the show. Let me look in the chat real quick to see if there's any last things. Lucas here saying I love the Zaku 3. Yeah. That's a good one. Neon Wave. There is no Gunpla for Zaku 4. Yeah, that's weird. Yeah. Wait, and then Zionic Firmware, also the J Savior, basically the GM version of the G Savior. Oh, PS2 game only. That's cool.
Yeah, I would love a J Savior model kit.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? Even when I did that video like a couple weeks ago about like the late UC GMs, there's some in there that would be pretty cool model kits. Let's see. Anything else? If you're saying check the AMX 011G from Advance of Zeta. It's a Zaku 3 in standard Zaku 2 colors with a beam Gatling gun.
That's cool.
I'm gonna have to look that up. Yeah. First wave is always expensive. Second wave is cheaper. Oh, speaking of second wave, I'm seeing there's a reissue of, and I guess I'll change my screen real quick, of this Amon Karn statue. Now, I've evolved tastefully in my ways, and I would totally have a statue of this fine figure on my desk. But $105, I don't know, like, if my wife was like, that's cool, how much was that? Like, if I said 105, she'd be like, why would you buy a lady to put on your desk for $105? Because
yeah,
I am infatuated with her. That's why I would buy this.
that's the problem with those Gundam girls, man. They'll get you. They will get you in trouble.
Yeah, 105 for statue. But to ask, have you ever bought an anime statue? Are they just that expensive? Is there something I'm missing?
I mean, I think that's like all kind of figures and statues, right?
I don't normally buy statues.
You think about like the Sideshow collectible, like Marvel figures are like insanely expensive.
Yeah, that's true. Lucas Garrett simping for Hammond, yeah. I don't know why. No, but anyway, no, that was cool. That was a good episode. I'm glad we got to talk about Witch from Mercury, because I know that's on everyone's mind. It's really cool that we've got this new Gundam show. That's actually pretty cool.
It's probably a good idea to just mute your Twitter notifications for Gundam for like the next 6 weeks.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the stuff that comes up sometimes. There's some funny memes though. But
yeah.
But anyway, yeah. Thanks all. Thanks for everyone in the chat. This is always fun to do. Thanks, Stephen, for being here. Always fun to do. Check the links in the description.
Guys. And next time I'll try not to bring my invisible clone that offers this fine echo.
Hey, I wasn't hearing it, so no problem. No, I'm joking. But anyway, all right, well, cool. We'll see everyone. Yeah, have a good weekend.